Okay, this is My Sweet Audrina, Part 3, and it is called Breaking Through, Part 2. You drain me, Audrina. You take my heart and wring it, forcing me to run to Vera for solace. When it's over, I find only physical satisfaction, but no spiritual substance. Only you can give me that. How can you expect me to go on wanting you when you don't want me in the same way? Love is like a fire that needs replenishing often, not just with tender smiles and light touches, but with passion, too. Let's do it again. Our honeymoon night, without doors between us to hide behind, without shame. Make love to me now, right now, out of doors, here where we are. Damien is in town, Vera is gone, Sylvia was in that damn rocking chair singing to herself before I came out here, and she's likely to stay there until she falls asleep. He was touching my heart, caressing me with his eyes and stirring my blood as he'd never done before. His amber eyes burned. Even his hands seemed taut when he touched my face lightly. That's fine. I like to be interrupted 1,500 times. Quickly he withdrew his hands, as if my flesh felt as hot as his. Darling, marriage needs to grow, become adventuresome, do something that you've never done before. I don't care what. Make love to me this time. Don't wait for me to start. No, I thought I couldn't do that. It was a man's duty to make the first overture. It'd be cheap and unladylike to touch him first. But his eyes were imploring, lit up with desire. I didn't desire him. He should leave me alone, for in the end I'd fail him. Still, I wanted him. Something was telling me to do so, as he said, regardless of what Papa had said about men and their evil desires that shamed the women who did as they wanted. Papa had brainwashed me long ago, I told myself, and this time I was going to override all the signals that flashed evil, dirty, and nasty. It wasn't easy to drown out all the shouted shame. I didn't even think I could initiate anything unless he kept on looking at me as he was now. He made himself vulnerable, put his hands behind his back, and resisted his urges to touch me first. I fought the small voices installed by Papa and his teachings. No, he was my husband, and I did love him, and he really did love me. I'm scared, Arden, so scared of losing you to Vera. His eyes were warm and soft and encouraging me, deep and passionate eyes that kept urging me to go ahead. It wouldn't be his lust, only my own desire, and for some reason that seemed to make a great difference. What I did would be what I wanted to do, and if it was evil, then let it be evil. Arden needed me. He loved me, not Vera. Tentatively, I kept his face between my palms. He didn't move. His hand stayed behind his back. I kissed him lightly on his cheeks, his forehead, his chin, and finally his lips. They stayed soft, but not too soft, and parted only a little. Again I kissed him with more passion, and still he didn't respond. It was like someone I could do anything with, and he'd never harm me. I dared another kiss that was deep and long, even as my hands curved around him, began to stroke his back right down to his buttocks. Something was coming alive in me as he allowed me to do what I wanted, without his doing anything to me or requesting or hinting. Passion, such as I'd never felt before, began to swell deep and hot and demanding in me. My breast grew larger and peaked with demand as I arced and ached to have his hands on my flesh, needing his body, wanting him inside me. My breath began to come faster, his too, but still he didn't reach to drag me down or pull off my clothes. I was the one who tore out his shirt, off with his belt too, then unzipped his trousers and threw them aside. Shamelessly I pulled down his briefs, and even then he didn't touch me, though he rose up on his knees to allow me to rid him of all he wore, and fell on his back so I could pull off his shoes and socks. He seemed so eager, he was impatient, but it seemed ridiculous to me to keep on shoes and socks. Not a word did he say as I fell upon him to kiss him everywhere and fondle everywhere until at last I could wait no longer. Under a clear blue sky with the hot sun beating down, I guided his penetration. This time, this marvelous first time, I really enjoyed myself to enjoy the feel of him inside me, lifting me with him into the kind of paradise I'd read about but never experienced. And when his arms finally clasped me, I groaned from the pure ecstasy of having made him one with me at last. You're crying, he said when it was over. It was so wonderful. I finally reached you, Audrina. After trying so long, I've broken through that barrier you put up a long time ago. Yes, he was right. A barrier that Papa had constructed to keep me always bound to him. Sometimes I thought it was because you just didn't love me as a man, only as a companion. And still you kept right on loving me, I asked with wonder. I could never stop loving you no matter what. You're in my blood, part of my soul. If you never let me touch you again, I'd still want to wake up and see you asleep beside me. I said what I did only to shake you up and make you fear you might lose me to Vera. Audrina, there are times when you seem so remote and aloof, almost as if you're in a trance or caught in a spell. Quickly I leaned to kiss him, to stroke where I'd never wanted to touch before. He groaned with the joy and held me tighter. If ever I should be so unfortunate as to lose you, I'll look the world over until I had another Audrina. So that means I'd go to my grave still searching. For there will never be another you, another Audrina, Do you know another Audrina? I asked with a shiver. It's just my way of saying I have to have you and no one else. It was sweet to hear him say that, and I easily shook off the sudden chill of apprehension and forced some laden weight away from my soul, from my heart and conscience. Young and joyous as I've never been, I laughed and turned to him again. I teased him with kisses and small touches, and wantonly I explored his body as many times as he's explored mine, for I loved him so much then that I could have died for him. And once I thought all this so sinful and evil. Damn Papa for making me think that, for spoiling what could have been like this all the time. Twilight fled the sky with its rosy farewell to the day. Flaming the cloud bottom's crimson and shrinking violence shot through the saffron. Folded in his arms, I watched the sun sink into the bay beyond the river. I watched as Arden fell fast asleep. For the first time after lovemaking, I felt clean and worthy of staying alive. Unlike Papa, who loved the first Audrina best, Arden loved me for what I was, not for what he wanted me to be. I wrapped him in my arms as I watched the colors reflected in the water, different from the colors in the house. I lay there and began to think I hated all that stained glass, all those Tiffany lamps and shades, and all that Art Deco and other false man-made colors that gave me false fears. What did I have to fear now? In the middle of the night, I awakened. I thought I heard Sylvia calling my name. Audrina, softly, repeatedly my name called like that. I'm coming, Sylvia, I thought, waved to her as I often did, and somehow my messages seemed to reach her. First, I had to lift Arden's arm from my wrist. Then carefully I shifted my weight of his leg thrown over both of mine. When I was free, I bent above him and stroked his and kissed his lips. Don't go, we were going. I'll be back in a few minutes, I whispered. You'd better be. I need you again, soon. And then he slept. Sylvia was deeply asleep, curled up on her side, looking angelic in sleep as she always did. I kissed her too, feeling full of love for everyone. Asleep, she had never looked anything but beautiful and normal. All the way back to where Arden slept, I waited. I thought I heard my name called again. It seemed to come from the playroom, her bedroom. Was she jealous because now I'd found a man who loved me more than anyone had loved her? I had to go to the playroom. I had to go and face up to the terror, which she had prevented me from enjoying Arden as I should have. It was in that rocking chair that I'd seen the three boys assault the first Audrina, and that had been the first step to force me away from normalcy. The second step to take me even further away from ever enjoying sex was Papa and all the things he'd done to Mama and said to me. And the third step, taking me miles and miles away, was Papa's indifference to how he hurt my aunt. But it wasn't my horror, I told myself. It was Papa's. It was hers too, that first daughter who died before I was born.